And now we move on to the Safavid dynasty. The Safavid dynasty is a much younger empire than that of the Ottomans, but still a very important empire, one that we really need to look at. The Safavids come into power in about 1501 when Shah Ismail consolidates the power in Persia, parts of modern day Iran and Azerbaijan and other areas there. He was able to conquer or ally with other warlords and other tribes in the area and really consolidate the power under his banners. However, by 1511, you have the first war with the Ottomans as they begin to expand their power. It runs up against that of the Ottoman. You can see that clearly here in this map. Here in modern day Azerbaijan, you have Tabriz, the capital, the original capital of the Safavids, right here, butting up to the Ottoman Empire. And so, as Shah Ismail begins to expand his power, begins to move here um, into what is into modern day Iraq. Um, you have this bumping up against the Ottoman Empire and conflict with the Ottoman Empire, and then as he expands even more east, he begins to butt up against the Uzbek dynasty and the Khanate of Bukhara. So you have all of these different empires butting heads and fighting against one another and constantly at war. This really shapes the way that uh, the Safavids deal with other people. Very early in their rise in the 1520s, you see Tabriz actually overrun, and the Safavids having to move their capital here to Kazvin and try to recoup from there. And so they're constantly in battle, constantly trying to expand their ideas, and it really takes until um, 1571 under Shah Abbas the Great that you see the Safavids really pushing out and really expanding their empire. Under Shah Abbas the Great, you have the biggest expansion. If you really look at when Shah Abbas comes into power, not only is he um, one of the uh, the great leaders of the Muslim empires at this time, you're also seeing the Ottoman Empire pushing into Europe and really preoccupied with that. So that gives the Safavids time to expand, and expand they do as Shah Abbas curbs the power of local chieftains and begins to consolidate and create a strong central state. He moves the capital away from their traditional land and moves it into Isfahan, which you can see here. Isfahan is much further away from either the Uzbeks or the Ottomans, away from Tabriz and Kazim, and much more centralized, and has better water sources, and is much more defendable here than the other two cities. So he's thinking forward. He's looking for more of a strategic plan. And there was actually already a Persian city in Isfahan, and under Shah Abbas the Great, they actually built a new city right next to the Persian city. So they're looking at not uh, not really tearing down their history, but actually adding to it. And it is really here that that they achieved their zenith of their glory because they're able to embrace a lot more of their Persianness. They're able to really delve into their religious practices. They're really able to meld all these cultures together. Not really meld the cultures together, but overtake these cultures because the this area is very ethnically diverse and culturally diverse, and is under Shah Abbas the Great. They begin to take this away. They begin to push their culture onto other people. They begin to really take over the the Persian lands and really change their culture into Persian, and make their Islam a lot more Persian. They actually create a new, much more messianic, um, uh, Islamic religion that says that there is the end times are coming, and they need to prepare for the coming of a hidden imam, a new Messiah that's coming, and so this leads to a lot more of a religious fervor among the people, and that leads them once again into conflict with the Ottomans. As they push and expand their boundaries, the Ottomans are fighting against Europe, and this allows for Shah Abbas to pretty much make it so that the Ottomans have two different um, two different uh, fronts, both the Western Front and the Eastern Front, and so they have to fight on two sides, and that really helps the Safavids expand. And so, like I said, this is where the Safavids are at their peak. This is where the Safavids really come into power on their own. And even though they have a young and relatively short-lived empire, they are very important in keeping a very strong conservative, sometimes reactionary Islam alive, even as the Ottomans are creating a much more secular friendly Islam. And for the Safavids, the Shiite faith was a unifying force. The Shah claimed to be the spiritual leader of all Islam, so that includes Sunnis. The Shah said that he was the spiritual leader of everyone, and if you were not following him, then you were in fact in heresy. And as I said before, they created this idea of a much stricter religion, a idea of a religion that says that there is there are 11 imams that have shown their faith in their face, and there's a 12th imam that will come one day, and that's when the end times happen. That we need to prepare for this. That the world must be made into an Islamic paradise in order for the imam to return and to be pleased when he comes. And so this Shiite faith becomes a rallying cry for the people, not just at the top, but also everybody. And it is this religious fervor that pushes the Safavids to be a very harsh, unforgiving masters. But also know that the Safavids in Iran are successors to these great Persian empires, the empires of Darius and the empires of Xerxes, and then later on, even moving into the Armenian Persian empires, Greek Persian empires, and Hunnic Persian empires. So Safavid Iran is a successor to these great empires. They know it. They know that they have a lot of history behind them, and so this means that they are warriors and they need to expand outward, and that is what they begin to do as they push um, into what is modern day Turkey, conquer most of modern day Iran, and then move into modern day Pakistan and Afghanistan. So you're seeing these the empire mode quickly come back to the Safavids, and they begin to push out. And so the Safavids are actually going to expand both eastward and westward. Abbas actually encourages trade with Christians. He does not want anyone to convert to Christianity or allow any of the missionaries to convert anyone to Christianity, but he does want to trade with the Christians. He wants to bring them to his court, and he knows that they need money to expand. They need money to fight against the Ottomans, and so he encourages trade. And unfortunately, one of those people that quickly comes is the English East India Company. And we will be discussing the English East India Company more in class and in the coming weeks. So, meeting with the English East India Company, getting the English to really have a foothold into Persia, actually allows the English India Company then to actually make it towards India a lot easier. So you're seeing them expand eastward and westward. You're seeing a lot of open warfare with the Ottomans. The Safavids are Shia. The Ottomans are Sunni. The Safavids want to recreate their great empires of the past. The Ottomans are in their way. The Safavids want to trade and expand and begin to explore, but the Ottomans are also in their way. So here, this is very important that the Safavids are trying to expand westward, trying to gain a foothold in world affairs, but the Ottomans are in their way, and the Ottomans are a force to be reckoned with. And so there's often open warfare with the Ottomans throughout the entire history of the Safavid Empire. Safavid society is very much an extension of the Safavid politics because the Safavid society is moving and expanding and conquering other cultures. You know, you have this cultural totalitarianism that rises, that they are trying to maintain a strong Persian identity, trying to maintain a very strong Muslim identity, and they are not interested at all in assimilating. They are not interested in taking the good parts of other cultures, or push or melding their culture into other into other their religion onto other cultures. They are not trying to create this utopia that is a mixture of cultures. No, they are trying to create a strong Persian Islamic Shiite empire that will be there and ready for when the end times come and their hidden imam, the Messiah, comes. And so, in order to do that, they basically replaced the leaders of the conquered. They wouldn't leave the people in charge that were there beforehand. Instead, they were replaced with other Safavid people, and so this led to a very upset populace that had really no freedom, that could not govern themselves, and they also forced religious conversion. So the Safavids forced people to become Muslim. They forced people to change their religions, and were forced to follow this new Islam, even if they were Sunni Muslims, or if they were any even other Shia that didn't exactly believe in the Twelverism. They were forced to convert and follow this new state religion. So they are actively changing people's cultures, changing people's religions, and putting their own ideas on top of everyone else's. So what this does is it leads to a very strong centralized power that has a lot of that has a lot of weak local leaders. The central government, basically, the local leaders are very, very weak. The power of the state is very strong. The Shah has power over everything, and so at the base level, the local leaders have very little power, and so the people down at the bottom. Well, why did they uh, follow? Why didn't they rebel instantly? Well, that's because the Safavids used religious power to control rural areas. The people that were living in the areas that were coming um, under Safavid rule were basically these very little educated farmers. They either had folk religion or no religion at all. And here comes this religion that is telling them that there is something coming after death, that there is an afterlife, that there is a reward for all the hard work, just like Christianity in their formative years. How Christianity in its formative years was able to uh, get the lowest people to adhere to this new religion, and see that there might be something for them after they die. That's exactly what the Safavids do as well. They come to these people that have been down at the bottom, that might have been practicing poly polytheistic folk religions, and all of a sudden they're told you just believe in this one God, follow our rules, and at the end of your when you die, you will be in heaven, and you will have an eternity of a reward. Well, this is very tempting and very, very positive for a lot of the people that have been down at the bottom of society for so long. And so these the people down at the bottom of society quickly adapted Safavid religion and Safavid culture, and they began to, and this is where the Safavid power base really is at the bottom of society. And then they had the nobility and the Shah in charge. So really, the people that were being squeezed and had the screws turned on them were those in the middle, whereas that those that had been prospering beforehand over the underclasses were all of a sudden being told to change their society, and were their power to rule was taken away. And so it was the middle that was suffering, but at the very top and the very bottom of society, you're having actually a resurgence of both wealth and religious life. So this is really just a quick view of the Safavids. We'll talk about their downfall after we look at the Mughal Empire. Here we'll after this next break, and then we will finish up.